Snow fell in a slow, muffling drift across the Karsk Valley, settling on burned armor, shattered rifles, and the frozen outlines of men who would never stand again. Colonel Elias Rourke walked through the wreckage with measured steps, his boots crunching softly, as if the battlefield itself demanded silence. He had commanded wars for 40 years, yet nothing in his memory prepared him for the stillness left behind by 50,000 dead. The battle had ended before it had truly begun. Sensor logs replayed in Rourke's helmet as he moved. Platoons vanishing mid-signal, armored columns torn apart without visible attackers, air support erased by something that bent light and thought alike. The enemy had not charged or bombarded. They had hunted. That distinction clawed at Rourke more sharply than grief. A young lieutenant followed him, pale and shaking, clutching a data slate like a lifeline. Mara Venn had been pulled from officer training 6 months early, her first deployment turning into a graveyard tour. She swallowed hard as she spoke, voice cracking despite her effort. "Sir, reconnaissance confirms no survivors beyond the perimeter. Medical teams found nothing living." Rourke nodded once, sparing her words he did not have. They reached the command bunker, its blast doors peeled open like broken teeth. Inside, the walls were scorched with unfamiliar residue, organic yet metallic, still faintly warm. Rourke knelt, pressing gloved fingers to the floor, studying patterns others might dismiss. The attackers had lingered here. They had examined their work. Rourke remembered the first alert hours earlier when High Command dismissed frontier losses as rebel action. He had argued then, insisting something was wrong. Rebels did not erase divisions in minutes. Rebels did not silence satellites. He straightened slowly, spine aching, and felt certainty harden into something colder. Humanity had been misjudged, categorized, and marked. Venn watched him closely. "Sir," she asked, quieter now, "what do we tell Earth?" Her eyes carried fear, but also something sharper, waiting to be shaped. Rourke met her gaze, seeing the future reflected there. Officers too young, wars too brutal, choices too final. He chose honesty. "We tell them the truth," he said. This wasn't an invasion. It was a test. He activated his recorder, framing the devastation behind him. His voice steadied, iron beneath the weight. An unknown alien force engaged our armies with overwhelming superiority. Casualties estimated at 50,000. No prisoners taken. He paused, glancing once more at the valley, at men who had trusted command to understand the enemy. "They didn't come to conquer territory," he continued. "They came to see how we die." The transmission ended. Wind swept through the ruins, carrying snow over bloodstains already fading into white. Venn exhaled slowly, as if she had been holding her breath since landing. "Sir," she said, "if they come back." Beyond the transports, distant artillery burned on the horizon, abandoned and useless, monuments to assumptions now dead. Rourke felt the weight of command settle heavier than any armor, not as authority, but obligation. The enemy had chosen humanity deliberately, measuring reaction, pain, endurance. That meant survival was still possible. Hunters tested prey that might be worth the risk. The thought did not comfort him. It warned him. Wars could be learned. Loss could be answered. What mattered now was whether humanity would accept the role assigned or redefine it. The future hinged on that decision alone, made here among the frozen dead. "They will," Rourke replied. He turned away from the dead and toward the waiting transports, jaw set, eyes burning with resolve. "And when they do, humanity won't be prey again." Earth did not answer with panic, but with silence. For 6 hours the channel stayed dark while analysts replayed death from every angle, stripping emotion from massacre until only data remained. Colonel Rourke waited in a cold briefing chamber, hands folded, eyes fixed on nothing, while the machinery of civilization decided whether 50,000 lives were anomaly or warning. When the council finally convened, Mara Venn stood beside him, uniforms still stained from Karsk snow. She had not slept. Neither had he. Faces filled the hollow ring. Generals, economists, governors, all searching for reassurance Rourke would not give. He spoke plainly, describing hunters that adapted mid-engagement, enemies who withdrew once curiosity was satisfied. Each sentence tightened the room. Questions followed, sharp and desperate. Could they communicate? Could they negotiate? Could they retreat from the frontier and let the storm pass? Rourke answered carefully, not to persuade, but to prepare. They observed restraint, he said. That means intent. Intent does not fade. Data projections replaced faces. Other civilizations appeared, marked extinct, timelines ending abruptly after first contact. The pattern was unmistakable. The predators did not conquer worlds. They returned repeatedly, pruning resistance until nothing intelligent remained. Humanity had interrupted the cycle only by surviving long enough to notice it. Venn studied the projections, her fear reshaping into focus. They expect us to fracture, she said quietly. To argue. Several counselors bristled, but Rourke inclined his head. The lieutenant's insight carried weight because it was earned in blood. The enemy had not finished the hunt. They were waiting for weakness. Debate dissolved into necessity. Supply lines rerouted. Civilian manufacturing flagged for conversion. Emergency powers passed with unprecedented speed. Yet hesitation lingered, coiled around one unspoken word. Extermination. Rourke felt it in the room like a held breath. Humanity had always framed its wars as defense. This would not fit that lie. A memorial feed interrupted the session. Names of the dead scrolled endlessly, faster than reading aloud, a river of loss without pause. Venn lowered her eyes. Rourke did not. Grief was a luxury that could come later, if at all. He addressed the council once more, voice roughened by truth. They will return, he said, and next time they will refine their methods. If we hesitate, we validate their model. Silence followed, heavier than before. One by one, counselors nodded. Authorization codes propagated across systems, unlocking arsenals long sealed by treaties and memory. Humanity's posture shifted, subtle but irreversible. Venn felt it, a tightening inner chest, fear braided with resolve. She was no longer watching history. She was inside it. As the chamber emptied, she turned to Rourke. "Sir," she asked, "what does this make us?" He considered the question, thinking of predators who mistook curiosity for safety, of prey that learned too quickly. Outside the viewport, Earth turned serenely, unaware of the verdict rendered in its name. "It makes us alive," he said at last, and unwilling to end quietly. The lights dimmed, signaling transition to wartime protocol, and across human space, fleets began to move. No cheers followed. There was no ceremony, no anthem, no speech fit for what had begun. In homes and habitats, citizens felt the shift, an unease spreading without explanation. The war had not been declared for glory, conquest, or revenge. It was declared because extinction had been offered first. Humanity accepted, not with joy, but with memory. Far beyond known charts, something watched the movement of fleets, recognized the change, and began to reconsider assumptions once held certain. As the hunt subtly turned inward, and the galaxy grew quiet, waiting for the next mistake. The war did not arrive with banners or speeches, but with schedules. Rourke watched humanity reorganize itself with ruthless efficiency. Entire cities reshaped into factories, universities emptied into research vaults, childhood shortened by necessity. Mara Venn trained until her hands bled, then trained harder, learning to command units that expected no return orders. Fear did not leave her. It sharpened. The enemy returned exactly when predicted. Predator vessels slipped into border systems, silent and precise, expecting scattered resistance and panicked retreats. Instead, they found empty planets seeded with listening arrays, bait fleets broadcasting false distress, and stars surrounded by minds that did not explode but screamed, flooding neural channels with agony. Rourke observed from a command carrier, expression unreadable, as the hunters hesitated for the first time. Human doctrine changed weekly. No tactic repeated twice. Fleets sacrificed themselves to learn patterns. Survivors transmitted data instead of pleas. Venn led her first engagement near a dead moon, luring a predator scout group into a gravity well-tuned to tear holes like paper. She lost half her command and recorded every second, hands steady despite the cost. When the predators died, she felt no triumph, only grim confirmation. The enemy adapted quickly, but not fast enough. They had evolved to hunt civilizations that clung to survival. Humanity learned to weaponize desperation. Soldiers volunteered for neural augmentations that burned their minds out within years. Civilians accepted rationing, blackouts, conscription. Rourke signed orders that would have horrified him in earlier wars, then slept soundly because doubt wasted time. Captured predator data revealed fragments of their culture. They believed fear refined prey, that terror exposed weakness. Rourke exploited this belief mercilessly. Human fleets staged impossible maneuvers, charged when logic demanded retreat, detonated entire systems rather than surrender them. The message was not sent in words, but statistics. Encounters grew shorter. Predator losses climbed. Venn changed too. She stopped flinching at casualty reports, reading them like weather forecasts. Her voice hardened, her decisions quicker. Yet she still carried the names of her first command, etched into her wrist display, a reminder of what delay cost. When Rourke asked if she wished reassignment, she refused without hesitation. They started this, she said. I intend to finish it. The turning point came with the Heliox trap. Intelligence predicted a major hunting convergence, drawn by fabricated signals of mass civilian evacuation. Humanity emptied the system entirely, leaving automated broadcasts and dormant fleets. When the predators arrived in force, stars themselves turned against them, ignited by chained reactions designed to collapse hyperspace exits. Entire armadas vanished in controlled stellar fury. For the first time, predator transmissions shifted tone. Signals once filled with detached observation now carried urgency, fragmentation, fear. Rourke authorized full broadcast of the battle's aftermath across open channels. Wreckage. Silence. Proof. Venn watched the feeds, aware she was witnessing a boundary crossed, not just tactically, but morally. They're learning, she said quietly. Yes, Rourke replied. And so are we. The predators began retreating toward their core territories, abandoning hunts unfinished. Humanity pursued without celebration, without hesitation. The war was no longer about survival alone. It was about ending the cycle permanently. As fleets accelerated beyond mapped space, Venn stood on the bridge beside Rourke, feeling the weight of everything humanity had become. Behind them lay burning stars and shortened lives. Ahead waited the source of the hunt. Neither spoke. Words were unnecessary now. Humanity had proven it would not remain prey. What remained uncertain was how much of itself it would have left when the hunt finally ended, and whether survival would recognize its own reflection when the war was done. Predator space was nothing like human charts had predicted. Worlds were stripped bare, ecosystems reduced to arenas, stars ringed with monuments built from the bones of extinct species. Rourke understood then that mercy had never existed here, only efficiency. The realization settled his doubts and hardened his resolve. The final campaign unfolded without speeches. Human fleets struck breeding worlds first, deploying weapons designed not to conquer, but to erase viability itself. Oceans boiled, skies collapsed, and ancient citadels crumbled into dust. Venn led the assault formations, issuing orders with calm precision, her voice steady even as entire planets died beneath human hands. Predator resistance was frantic and disorganized. The hunters who once stalked patiently now fled, transmitting pleas stripped of ritual and pride. They offered tribute, knowledge, even submission. Rourke listened in silence, then ordered the channels closed. Negotiation belonged to species that respected limits. These did not. During the final push, a counterstrike breached the command carrier. Shrapnel tore through the bridge, killing officers where they stood. Rourke was thrown against a console, pain blooming white and immediate. Medics reached him, urging evacuation, but he waved them away, dragging himself upright. He would witness the end he had authorized. Venn took command seamlessly, her authority unquestioned. She coordinated fleet movements while rerouting power manually, hands slick with blood that was not all her own. When she asked Rourke if she should pull back the forward line, he met her eyes and shook his head. "Finish it," he said. The last Predator world burned quietly. No final transmission followed, no curse or defiance. Just silence where a species had once thrived. Across human space, sensors confirmed extinction thresholds met. The war ended not with cheers, but with exhaustion so deep it felt like grief. Afterward, humanity did not celebrate. Memorials replaced factories. Children returned to classrooms, carrying stories no curriculum could soften. Venn stood beside Rourke on a restored world, snow falling gently, reminiscent of Karsk. She was older now, not in years, but in weight carried. "What happens next?" she asked. Rourke looked at the horizon, at a galaxy that would never see humanity the same way again. Other civilizations watched from afar, recalibrating their models, their hopes, their fears. "We live," he said, "and we remember why." The commander retired soon after, body failing at last. Venn continued in service, guiding a military reshaped by restraint learned through excess. Humanity withdrew its fleets, but not its vigilance. It would not hunt. It would not forget. Far beyond human borders, silence lingered where predators once ruled. The cycle was broken, not by strength alone, but by refusal. Humanity had stared into extinction and answered without flinching. Whether the galaxy would forgive that answer no longer mattered. Survival had been secured, and with it, the burden of knowing exactly what it had cost. History would debate the decision for centuries, scholars arguing morality from the safety of distance. Rourke accepted that judgment would come, detached and inevitable. What mattered was that humanity endured, scarred yet sovereign. Venn watched new cadets train beneath open skies, teaching them caution alongside courage. She told them monsters existed, but so did choices. The war left no heroes, only survivors burdened with memory. As stars slowly repopulate human routes, silence no longer meant safety, merely vigilance. Humanity stepped forward, carrying its darkness openly, hoping restraint would follow strength. The galaxy adjusted, learning that some prey, once cornered, became something else entirely. That lesson echoed quietly, reshaping futures unseen, ensuring the hunt would never resume as it once had again, anywhere, for any species ever after.